Viewers will listen to that hum. Just burning the China smell off this new device. I've been after a decent high current battery charger for a long time. I wanted something that would not only charge batteries really well, but also handle loads of current and also Jumpstart a vehicle. So pretty much you can get welders and stuff nowadays that output DC, like inverter welders, and products such as welders, jump starters and battery charger combo units, inverter types that is, actually do exist on the market, just not locally in their local stores. Basically this is just basically a big power supply that puts out a very heavy amount of current, and you can adjust the voltage here. So, but for new cars, because you have to strike an arc to weld, it surges a massive, probably I think it's a 50 volt spike this shoots out to start the weld. Turning this thing on initially while it's connected to it, the newest cars in the market today can shock a voltage spike and fry the ECU and everything. Other than that, for older things like old tractors, old things that don't have ECUs or electronics that go bad, this is perfect. This will do older cars easily. As this one, it's just a transformer based one, this will do new cars and not damage them. So you've got your settings, you've got 13 volt range, or 13.6 volts, lowest charge setting. On number 2 I've got 14.8 volts. This off, turn this on, you get 15.6 volts with this on the maximum setting. Then you've got your charging and Jumpstart feature. Jumpstart puts about, I think it's about 16 volts or 17 or 18 volts on your battery. Well actually no, it's actually 16 volts constantly. And this thing does about 100 or 200 amps of cranking. That's the maximum it goes up to. So if this didn't have a battery, if I took the battery out and hooked it straight up to this without the battery in the car and jump started, it would use a full 200 amps to start this engine. And I've got a 50 amp parallel, so I've got 100 amp of fusing there. I don't really like that idea. I might change that for an actual proper breaker, like a really settable 100 amp breaker. Because those things, you can't buy them locally, those types of fusible links. I might change that. It was about 200 bucks off eBay. The China smell is burning off, as I said. You can just see a big transformer in there. It's just a big welder transformer, about the size of a large high wattage commercial microwave oven might from the 80s. So 24 volts here this thing does. Starting 8 kilowatts. That's on the DC side. It said it came with a 15 amp plug, but it didn't. It's just a 10 amp plug on it. I haven't, should run this thing through a amp meter, or a watt hour meter, to see what the actual inrush is when it's cranking an engine on the 240 volt side. So you've got 240 volt amp, 240 amp cranking power on either 12 and 24 volts. Fuse for the 240 volt primer side, 16 amps. 3 seconds on, 120 seconds off. There's a cool down thing inside there, which lets it cool down before you can start it again. Do it 5 times. But I'm going to modify this to the fan, because the transformer doesn't get overly hot, but it would prolong its lifespan having the fan. Plus the bridge rectifier in there would also do with some extra cooling. It prolong the lifespan, so it's quite a big beefy bridge rectifier in there. But adding the fan would prolong the life of this thing. I'm pretty happy with it so far. I've always wanted one of these. The amount of cranking and tractor starts what I've done on the farm back in the old days, I had one of these back then. I know I've got Dad's relatives had one of these too for the trucks. Always, yeah, as I said, I've always wanted one. You can always, the price you pay for these C-Tech or these types of chargers, which Noco and C-Tech have ones in the market that go up to about 30 amps. They're expensive, and they're pretty much only a smart charger anyway. They're good, but they're limited to what you can do with them. You wouldn't leave that and then start your car. No way that would handle it. I wanted something that would crank as well as handle heavy loads. Something you can start your car with, and it's not going to hurt this thing. This thing's designed to do. So, having a battery jump starters aren't very good anyway. Although they are convenient because you can take them anywhere. And being in the middle of nowhere, stuck somewhere, you can jump start yourself. They're good for that. But if I'm around town or somewhere where you can get access to a power point and you've got an extension cord, this is the best jump starter. Now I don't have to worry about replacing batteries all the time. This is this. Has an infinite amount of cold cranking amps till it overheats, but I'm going to put a fan in this thing, so a 240 volt fan's pretty much like what's in that welder. This welder has a 240 volt fan in the back of it. Something like that is ideal, because the inverter ones of these have fans in them. But I don't know why they don't put them in these transformer ones anyway, as well, I mean. But that's what I'm going to do. We'll do some checks, we'll do a boost. And we'll show you how it's going to start. Here you go, 60 amps charging that battery, 16 volts. Ready, 3, 2, 1. Well, that's cranky. My alternator's not working. I'll turn it off. My alternator will turn back on again. As you can see though, yeah, it's 16 volts at a constant current for cranking the engine. Because that was pushing harder into my battery, then my alternator was charging, my alternator's regulator turned off. So that's why the battery light came on. But I was charging up my lithium iron phosphate batteries. I haven't driven this in about 4 days. I'll lift the key on because what I've done, I've tapped into the cigarette lighter socket. And I didn't put a switch on it. This little buck converter I'm using as a makeshift DC-DC charger to charge up my lithium iron phosphate batteries when I'm not parked in the sun, because the solar panel only does so much. I've got that set to about 13.6 volts. And it's constant current about 6 amps on the output to charge these batteries up. But on the input side, through the I had to beef up my cigarette lighter socket circuitry and tapped off a resettable 20 amp breaker instead of the fuse that's in there. And if I leave the key on in this car for about 2 to 3 minutes, any more than actually 5 minutes with the key on and the engine not running, my battery will not start the engine. So that's the only drawback with that. I could hook this thing up via a voltage sensitive relay, which wouldn't be a bad idea. But it's quick and easy. That's what I've done. And it gets me by running the inverter and everything to charge my tablet and my power tools. Although you can get a cheap 12 volt to 15 volt charger that these Microsoft Surface tablets need, which plugs in your cigarette socket. They've only started to become popular now online to buy, so I might get one of those to have in hand. I don't have the 12 volt chargers that I would charge my power tools, hence I got the inverter. Because getting chargers on power banks for those Surface tablets, they're expensive. So having a car 12 volt one would be ideal for other vehicles I might drive around, which I haven't modded. So my main rig now, I'm probably going to use the cigarette socket charger on this one. I could put the inverter in the back in the canopy, but then they're going to run a remote cable and run an extension cord somewhere through the hole in the fire underneath and poke an extension cord in here, which I may not do. It might be a bit iffy to do that. Besides, my battery I've got in this is I'm using my old lead acid battery AGM in this vehicle. But I've set up my Android head unit. The reverse camera works. It has every single feature you could possibly imagine, even TV, which is pretty cool. I've got me a quick charger, popped out the blanking plate and put one of those in. I've got another one coming to go there, which is specifically for aux and USB playback for that radio. It's a proper one that fits, designed for Toyota Hiluxes. But this thing also has the alternator voltage too, which is nice. But it's work in progress. I had to make some sealing repairs on my canopy. Got some desiccant bags in there. You get those at the switchboards. Got the battery box there, which got cheaper at Costco, which is cheaper than battery world, so I've got it there. Has all the air set and all the plugs you can ever need on it, everything inbuilt. It's nice and echoey with the canopy door closed and the head in here. But I'm yet to I'm thinking about putting one of the Enercore batteries in here, just deciding yet. When I start using this ute flat out, I'm going to try and organise fucking double stack them on top of each other. But I've got the DC and all the cabling one for that onboard charger. I have got solar panels on this thing, but they're too small. I've got a proper ladder rack coming for this, and I'll have to get a proper solar panel for this thing. It's work in progress. Work in progress, but it's only 10 watts there, which is bugger all. Those panels are too small. Charging nicely. 620 calculated battery, but I always top the battery up anyway when I'm not driving my cars for any more than 3 days or 4 days at a time, just to prolong the batteries. I've found I got much more lifespan out of them. But I'm pretty happy with this thing so far. The China smell is getting fainter and fainter. You just look up these on eBay. There's a Ross Mark welder brand. Don't know why they're not more popular in local stores. Only specialty stores actually sell these locally, but they're like $700-800. Pretty much, it's pretty much is a welder anyway, this thing, but designed for charging batteries and starting cars only. So I wish if I had the transformer and a rectifier a little bit bigger in here, you could actually weld with it. That's only short duty cycle rated transformer, not a continuous duty cycle. That's what it sort of says here in the bottom there. Or another way you can make a longer duty cycle, fit something like that, for example, to start and charge batteries and start vehicles. One of these old welders, the old school ones, those are much those old transformers are overbuilt, and they will take a longer duty cycle. But your breaker and your cabling won't. But this would, if I can somehow take the output of that and regulate it down to 16 volts tops, but keep as much current from that as possible, that would be a good project for battery charger / Jumpstarter. But the minimum voltage setting on that's 50 volts, so you need something to regulate it down without losing a lot of the current. Something like that, which could run through some relays and contactors, and I could use that to regulate it down, and the relays, the big ass contactors that handle the heavy current. That'd be cool. Wouldn't be a bad idea actually if they make something like that. So this one actually handled the current itself, this unit here, but this one will take the welder's voltage. Once it's rectified, full rectified for a heavy duty rectifier, you could dial that down. Then there'd be some way we could use a contactor and go through that to handle all of that heavy current. But it works extremely well as a charger, this thing. And it's keeping me panels, my batteries topped up when the sun's not doing its job. Working very well. That also will do the same thing too. That'll also keep my solar batteries topped up when there's no sun. Because that's another reason why I bought this thing. My car chargers are way too small for something off grid. This thing though, constant 40 amps depending on the setting. So I've put on a max setting, I get a good desulfation overnight. Having the fan in this thing though is a must, because it does say in the book you don't leave it on the high settings for long periods of time because it will overheat. But I'm going to fix it with adding a fan in this thing. A bit hummy, but it's nice, it's a nice sound. Must have tighten up all the screws properly. Pretty much sounds like the old welders did, but this has more of a rattle to it, more of a tinny rattle. It was about 20 amps, it's gone down now as it's charging the battery. Yep, 10 amps. That's going to go drop down constantly, slowly, I mean. Should have put a voltmeter in here though. I don't know what I didn't. Should put a voltmeter in here as well. Or a shunt meter. I've got a shunt meter in here actually. I've got another one of those battery TFO4K shunt meters in here. But it's only made for battery banks, so you program the battery storage capacity into it and it gives you a percentage, but I don't want the volts and amps and watts measurement. I could just use something else with that, I think. Working quite well. Anyway, that'll be enough for now. Thanks for watching.